Good morning. We left you hanging. We psyched you out. You thought it was going to start, and there was a logo. Woo-hoo.
It is starting, though. Here we are. You know what, though? The TV's not starting either.
Is that what's going on?
And that TV's not on again.
Hey.
I'm the only one that can really announce it because I'm looking at it. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful morning. Man, what a great Wednesday. And looking forward to just a great day in God, right? We're day 3, red light, green light. And man, I've been picking up on some things. I've already told my wife no like 4 times. No, you don't think? You agree? You believe that?
You said you're picking up on some things. I didn't think that was a new thing.
Yeah. No. I'm getting away with it. I got away with telling her no. Got away with it. So today's day 3, Diana.
That's right. I was kind of pondering this morning about different parts of the last couple of days. Mm-hmm. And, I want to encourage sometimes our no is not necessarily even about us. Our no may be about opening a door for somebody else. That if our no, we say no, that it allows somebody else the ability to rise up and say yes. So no sometimes has a negative connotation where we feel like we're letting somebody down. Or here's another one that I thought about. Our yeses, where we say yes to the things that we feel like we can't say no to. Sometimes our yes is about pride. And let me tell you what I mean by that. We have pride that we feel like nobody else can do it as good as us. And so sometimes our yeses are not because we see a need and we want to do it. Sometimes our yeses may be that we're prideful and we feel like we're the only ones that can do it. So I think it's about examining, not only knowing, but examining why our yeses need to be yes and why our no's need to be no. And it might not be about us. It might be about somebody else. Or it might be about us saying that so that the Lord can take us down a notch and make us recognize we're not all that.
That's good. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I love it. Thinking of that's actually makes a lot of sense because you saying yes to something that is really not your passion and something that could really be hindering you. Another byproduct of that is the person that's supposed to be doing it, the person that is called to be doing it.
That may feel lesser because you may be more qualified. So you might be more
shrink
qualified.
back.
Yeah.
Or just not, shrink back completely. And it was really something that they were supposed to be doing. That's a great point. And I guess it really comes down to the reason I think that is the case is because even when you say yes, it's the same concept. When you say yes to some things, it's you're saying no to other things. No matter what. It's like nothing comes for free. You know what I mean? Nothing's for free. And it's the same concept really for someone else. Because if you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Well, you saying yes to something is preventing someone else from saying yes to something. And it's, so there's always a reaction to the action. And, and that you can't even see sometimes. It kind of unfolds behind it. That's a good point. So remember I told you guys we're going to start today giving you just a few things to help say no, right? Because let's just face it, the reason we don't say no is because it's hard to say no. And so some things that we can, or some things I guess that we could maybe just helps identify maybe why we don't, how we can, and so forth. And let's get to them here. Number 1, no with a K, K-N-O-W, know your no. So K-N-O-W, your N-O. Know your no. So, and let me explain that. Identify what's important to you and acknowledge what's not. So if you don't know where you want to spend your time, you won't know where you don't want to spend your time. So it's kind of really coming back to, again, a lot of this is centered around purpose, comes down to purpose again, because you have to discover your purpose, your God-given purpose. Again, purpose might not be the only option because how many know I hate to, all make this over-spiritualize it, but it is a spiritual thing. I mean, that's what this life is about. It really is a spiritual thing because when it's all said and done, this life is a vapor, and what goes on spiritually, it's what's going to be going on for eternity. So obviously it's a spiritual life. Even though we live a practical life, it's a spiritual life because that's when everything physical passes away. There's the spiritual. And so there's the enemy. I hate to say it that way, but there's the enemy possibly even presenting another good option. So the enemy can present bad options. The enemy could also, dangle good options or maybe distract your focus into other good options. So, your purpose, there could be other options that you are considering for your purpose, other things that are good, things that could be someone else's purpose and could be good things. So you have to know, right, where you want to spend your time and where you're supposed to spend your time, because if not, you won't know where you don't want to spend your time or where you're not supposed to spend your time. And those things are very important. So again, they could all be, there could be a whole list of like, these are all really valuable things. These are all things that help the church, the kingdom. But it doesn't mean that that's where you're supposed to be, because again, we only have a limited amount of time to do what God's called us to do. And then there's the right place, right, at the right time for us. And then there's the wrong place at the wrong time for us. And so if you don't know where you want to spend your time, you won't know where you don't want to spend your time. And before you can say no with confidence, you have to be clear that you want to say no. And so look at it, judge it, analyze it, and say, okay, is this something I would have volunteered for? I'm getting asked for this. Is this something I would have volunteered for? Is this something that I'm pursuing? Is this something that's going to lend to the purpose and the plan that God has for my life, what I'm really feeling in my heart? Because, you're coming out of the gate of the new year going, hey, these are some areas that I want to see accomplished, that I feel like the Lord's laid on my heart. He's dealt with me on. And then as you come out of that gate, then you have other things thrown at you. And then you begin to bog yourself down with these things. And so before you can say no with confidence, is this something that you want to say no to? So know your no. That's number one. What do you think about that? I mean, it's important, right, to know.
I think to say that means you have to establish your non-negotiables. So if you already know kind of what you want to do this year, it's a clean slate, right? Beginning of a new year. I think there's some non-negotiables, especially if, for instance, you're trying to further a specific thing, like maybe you're trying to do continued education. That means you're going to have to devote a certain amount of time to continued education. So I think you have to establish non-negotiables, what you want to accomplish this year, and then non-negotiables of how to accomplish those. And then when requests are made, maybe that could distract you, you got to bring them back to, is this going to impede on my non-negotiables of accomplishing my goals this year? So for instance, your non-negotiable would be, I'm going to do my continued education, so I'm going to dedicate an hour a day to reading things that are going to help me continue and further, because in your continued education may be about your career. I want to advance in my career this year, which advancement in career a lot of times also is attached to advancement in financial aspects. So knowing what your non-negotiable is this year, that this year you're going to be better in what areas, what do you want to increase, what do you want to grow in this year, where do you want to get yourself better, find that. So I'm just going to use an example. You want to continue your education because that's going to also advance you in your career, which will hopefully also advance you in your financial situation. So how are you going to do that? So you got to devote, an hour a day or 30 minutes a day, whatever you know you need to accomplish that. I'm going to devote that to that. Now you're, creating that habit, and you're doing that every day, which ultimately creates disciplines to continue to do that. So then when those things come up and you're having to choose, you have to go back to, these were non-negotiables for me this year. Non-negotiables, I'm going to further this, and I'm going to need to do this to be able to do that. Does this impede on my non-negotiables for my year? And that was a good way to, so it's not about saying yes or no, but just like fleetingly, it's like, hey, especially if someone's asking, it's like, hey, I really see that's a good thing, and I would love to be a part, but I have some goals this year that I'm accomplishing, and I have some non-negotiables, and I can't at this time devote the time because I'm really focused because I want to accomplish this. So I think establishing non-negotiables to achieve what you want to achieve this year is really important, because if you don't set those things and how you're going to do it, we'll accept anything that comes our way if it's a good thing. And that good thing may not help you in what you want to accomplish this year.
That's good. You guys heard it right there. Hope you were taking notes.
Actually, to go along with that, I read something this morning. You've talked about the past 2 days about having a plan and having a pace and setting your pace. And it was funny because I read something this morning that both winners and losers have the exact same goals. Because yesterday we talked about goals are just a wish when you don't have a plan. Winners and losers have the same goals. The difference is the winners have the right systems in place.
Yeah,
and the systems
good.
are those daily habits that you were just talking about that you're implementing every day. There's small little steps that get you to where you want to be.
That's real good. And the thing of it is you during your year, you may change that up a little bit, but at least start with some non-negotiables. And I think that can carry into non-negotiables in a lot of different areas of life, relationships. When you're coming into getting married, there's non-negotiables. Like these are, things that we're going to make it a priority, whatever those non-negotiables are. I think also knowing what you believe. Being firm and grounded in your beliefs and in your faith. What do you believe? And I think that's another thing, because I think sometimes we have some fleeting, beliefs and our faith isn't grounded. That's another thing that I think that comes and allows us to be distracted because we're not firm in our beliefs of what we believe in, those little compromises. I think if we're not firm in our beliefs, that's also when we allow little compromises in our lives too. So I think it's establishing non-negotiables and knowing what you believe and putting together plans to accomplish those things.
Yeah. So know your no was the first one, but really it's no. It's just be in the know. Know your no, know your purpose, know your why, know what God's speaking to you. Be in the know, right? Be aware. And I think that, there's a quote that we, several years ago in a season of our life, someone said this quote often, and we use it now, or I use it a lot now, where if you don't know where you're going, any road will do. Same concept. If you don't know where you're going, any road will do. So you have to know. And so let's look at number 2. And this is something else I think that can help you, and that is to be appreciative. Be appreciative. So, it's almost never an insult when people make requests of you, right? They're asking for your help because they trust you. They believe in your capabilities to help. I mean, the reality is people want things done right. And there's, unfortunately, a lot of times, there's a development, I think, challenge, in society in general, where we don't want to take time a lot of times to develop someone. So when someone's gifted in areas, we overwork them, but we do it because we trust them. We want it done right. So we go to and we pile on, and the thing about it is it's not only something I do, it's something that gets done to me. It's not only something that maybe you do, but it's something that gets done to you. So it's no respecter of person. And so people are asking for your help because they trust you, right? And they believe in your capabilities to help. So thank them for thinking of you. Right? Or making a request or invitation. So it's not like one of these things where the worst thing you can do, and I've done this, because you don't want to tell them no, you just avoid them. You don't text back. You don't answer the call. You purposely delay the response or the message back until it's too late so that you can just say, oh man, I didn't get that. And I wish I could have. So you're trying to find other reasons, which by the way, that's not honest, completely honest, right? But here's the worst part about that. It's not going to solve the problem. Because they're just going to come back to you on the next one. And if it's something if there's something where you're at the place where you're avoiding and you're doing those types of things, then it's already been an issue. So it's not going to stop being an issue. So one of the ways to really handle it, I think at the root is be appreciative. So thank them for thinking of you, making a request. Hey, listen, I really appreciate that. And, by the way, this doesn't need to lead to a yes. By saying, thank you, I really appreciate you thinking of me, that doesn't have to lead to a yes. Matter of fact, that is the right way to segue into possibly the reason why you're not going to be able to do it. Hey, look, I really appreciate it. Man, thank you for thinking of me. It means a lot. I wish I could, but, and then you're going to go into the reason.
And you know what? And maybe offer a solution or a plan B for them. So it's not
if they trust you, that's a great point. If they trust you, then they may trust not just you doing it, but maybe your answer to who could do it in their place. Actually, somebody we know, we want to talk about here, but somebody we know actually, it reminds me of a scenario in the last couple of months that someone close to us, I think, had a scenario where it didn't feel like that was the direction they were going, and then they made a suggestion of someone else. So I watched that happen in the last couple of months in the church world. So pretty cool.
Brenda, I seen your comment. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate that. And we love and appreciate you too. I want to hit on Danny Cribbs and Dumasani's comment. I think that's another thing we have to examine why we're saying yes and examine our heart, because if it's about what we are getting in return, feeling appreciated, is that the right motive? So I think sometimes, we search out appreciation, maybe because we're not getting it in areas that we should be getting it from. And so we seek out people's approval or people's affirmation, even before God's affirmation and God's okay. So I think it's really important. We've all done that. But I feel like we got to also, again, know why we do what we do and make sure that we keep the right heart and motive, even though it's good to feel appreciated. And I think it's important for us, even when we're saying yeses, and I think David, he said that being appreciative is making sure we recognize, we live in a day and age that people are very quick to tell you what you do wrong, but they're very slow to tell you what you did right. And so I think if you put that on the forefront of what you're doing, and that really doesn't necessarily have anything to do with red light, green light, but I think be one of those people that, pushes people and cheers them on, because even when you're saying yes and it's part of God's plan, that doesn't mean you don't hit resistance and don't need those pats on the back. So I think examining our heart for our motive and making sure it's not about pleasing people, but it's about ultimately walking in God's perfect plan for us and pleasing Him first. And then the byproduct of that is that it also is pleasing to other people.
Let's look at number 3. Say no to the request. And this goes hand in hand with really be appreciative. Say no to the request, not the person. So you're not rejecting the person. You're just declining their invitation. So make that clear. And I think honesty is the best policy, right? And going forward, and keep in mind what we're trying to do here is if this is something you're struggling with because, you're at a position where you need to say no to some things, to say yes, by the way, it's not saying no just so I can do nothing. It's say no so that I can really do what God wants me to do. And by the way, that could mean I need to rest more because I'm not rested. That, not just sit around and doing nothing and becoming lazy, but resting. That means I need to be able to accomplish some things that for me, maybe you're so busy keeping everybody else's house, so to speak, clean that maybe your house is not, so to speak, clean, so it's one of these things where I need to tend to some things that God's doing in my life. And so say no to the request, not the person. Again, you're not rejecting them. You're just declining their invitation. Make that clear. And then number 4, let's just dive into that and you could comment on both of them, but explain why. You want to write this down, explain why. Again, honesty, right? The truth will set you free or set them free. The particulars of your reason for saying no, make really very little difference, but having a reason does, right? So the particulars of your reason make really no difference, but having a reason does. So maybe you're too busy. Maybe you don't feel like what they're asking you to do plays to your strengths. Be honest about why you're saying no. Look, I appreciate it, so I can tie these together. Hey, I'm appreciative. Thank you for thinking of me. It means a lot. I remember a time where, I would have wished somebody would have thought and recognized me. So man, I really do appreciate you recognizing me and just understand, I love you, and I'd rather just hang out with you and just go to dinner and just eat and whatever. So I'm not saying no to you. I'm just really having to say no to this. Let me explain why. I just feel like that this year God's got me focused on some other areas, and not to mention, I really don't feel like that's the area of strength that that He has me focused on, and because I'm really trying to spend some more time. And I've noticed in the past when I've done this, it's taken away from this. And so I just wanted to be honest with you. I just tied all 3 of those together.
There's a quote that says you're not answering is an answer. So avoidance is still no. Yeah. But it also avoidance causes rejection and could cause that other person or that other situation to go into some kind of spiral because of rejection. But avoidance is still no. You're still not doing it. You're still not. But it actually opens doors for, I believe, people, to feel things that they don't need to feel: rejection, hurt, let down, whatever it is. So your no is better because you're able to explain it and they're able to receive it, versus avoidance. Like, man, they just dropped off the face of the earth. They just stopped communicating. They just haven't been answering my calls, whatever. So rejection, no, your avoidance still is an answer of no, but it actually opens doors for mixed emotions. So I'd say no is still, be confident in your no and in your yes.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Dimasani pulled out a Steve Jobs quote: "I'm as proud of what we don't do as I am of what we do." And that's a good quote. The next one here, these are some things, by the way, that are very familiar with me in regards to life and application and leadership and in sales. And there's something that we teach in sales. When you're dealing with certain personalities, kind of become a chameleon, meaning, mirror them, or, rise up, lower, down. And so this next one: be as resolute as they are pushy. Some people don't give up easily. I'm one of those people. That's their prerogative, right? But without violating any of the rules above, okay, 1 through 4, okay, give yourself permission to be just as pushy as they are. And here's the thing you'll find out: they'll respect you for it. I've noticed that's true in sales, because the reality is that may not be your personality to be, resolute, or to be pushy, or to be steadfast. However, if it's theirs, then I found this: they won't get offended. That's really what it takes to get through to someone like that. You have to match. And do it for the right reasons.
Oh, you met your match. No. No.
Sure.
No.
And I do it anyway.
You do. That's true.
I do it anyway. So be as resolute as they are pushy. That's a good one. It'll work. And number 6, Diana's been doing this for 29 years. Practice. She says no, no, no. She's been practicing because it hasn't worked. Practice. So practice like anything else, man. Role play. Get your words right. If you know it happens, practice saying no. Choose some easy, low risk situations in which to practice saying no. Say no when a waiter offers you dessert. Like back when they used to have McDonald's supersize. Supersize that? No. They don't really care, right? They don't care. They're taught to say it. McDonald's teaches them because McDonald's cares. But the reality is the person taking your order doesn't give a crap. They don't care if you get like a large. They don't care. So just say no. Were you going to say something, Mike?
Make this IPD specific. When Dave orders cookies for the entire office, say no.
Do you want a cookie? No. They're really good.
No.
I'm telling you, man, these are the best cookies. No problem. No. These are the best cookies I've ever had. You're like, give me one. give me two. Give me two.
We thought the same thing.
We did. No.
Dave is the true salesman, by the way, when he gets cookies, because he's figured out who likes what cookies. Like, he knows which ones Diana wants. He's like, oh, I got you this one right here, babe. This one's for you.
Yeah.
And he don't even ask her. He just sits on the table and walks away.
Because then you're looking at it, and the cookie's like, eat me. So,
True.
Hey, role play. Right? Practice. Choose easy, low-risk situations. Practice saying no. Say no when they offer you dessert. Say no when someone tries to sell you something on the street. Go into a room by yourself, shut the door, and say no out loud 10 times. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. It sounds crazy, but building your no muscle helps. 29 years, you've been building that no muscle.
Still pretty small.
We got a couple more. Should we try to throw them out, just so we can start fresh tomorrow, maybe?
Yeah.
All right. Establish a preemptive no. We have certain people in our lives who tend to make repeated, sometimes burdensome requests of us. Diana does this. Now she does this well. Preemptive no. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. It's like, I come up and she's like, I know pretty much his tone. No, David. No, I don't want to talk about this right now. In those cases, it's better to say no before the request even comes in. Hey, just in case you had the idea to ask this, we're not doing this, so don't go in and do this. It's the preemptive no. Let that person know. Now, maybe don't say it that way unless that's your spouse, and maybe even then you shouldn't. I don't know. But let that person know you're hyper-focused on a couple of things in your life, and you're trying to reduce your obligations in other areas. again, so one thing that we try to avoid telling somebody why and going through, but that is precisely what this lesson is teaching us in today, right? Is that is precisely what we need to do, because people can handle the truth. They can handle the truth. They just can't handle you avoiding them, because then they draw conclusions to their own truth. And Diana hit it on the head. You're causing the feelings of rejection, right? They're doubting themselves. It may cause them to quit. I got to get to this last one, or there's two more, but this one here is really good, because I think that this is something that I struggle with, and I think this a lot of people would prepare to miss out. Be prepared to miss out. Some of us have a hard time saying no because we hate to miss an opportunity. And saying no, right, always leads to a missed opportunity, but it's not just a missed opportunity, it's a trade-off. Remind yourself that when you're saying no to the request, you're simultaneously saying yes to something you value more than the request. Both are opportunities. You're just choosing one or the other. And then go back to why you felt like it was necessary to seize more of the other opportunities. You were missing out on something that you felt like, this is something I need to change. So you don't think you're going to miss out on the life of the party.
That reminds me of a book by Jensen Franklin. It's like Right Place, Right Time, Right People. Your no may align you to be in the right place at the right time for the right people, and and saying yes to something you shouldn't may cause you to be over here when really there was another over. If you would have been in this place, there would have been a right place, right season, right time. And I'm messing up the title of that book, and I'm so sorry. I probably need to reread it. It's been a long time since I've read it, but our no's sometimes actually open other doors.
Yeah, and because it's about the right people, the right place, the right time. But what I got out of that is, if you're in the wrong place, at the wrong time, then you're missing out possibly on the right place at the right time, because you can only be one place at one time. You're not God, right? You're not omnipresent. You can't be multiple places at one time. You can't have the left butt cheek and the right butt cheek in different areas and get something accomplished. You can't ride. What do they say? You can't ride two horses with one butt. You know what I mean? You can't do it. You just can't do it. You can't do it. I mean, you can't be here and there at the same time. So understand, if you're in the right place, then you're not in the wrong place. You're in the wrong place, you're not in the right place. Stop getting, by the way, the right place confused with wrong things. Or because it doesn't mean that thing is wrong or bad to be the wrong thing for you.
I thought of that acronym too, FOMO. That was one of the things I thought about too, fear of missing out. It will cripple you. I do have a contradiction to being in two places at one time. It's a good old movie. It's called Walk to Remember. And there's a place he gets her to at two places at one time. It's on the line of the state, and they put their feet on one side and the other, and that means they were in two states at the same time.
Look,
that is possible.
I just don't like being sad.
I
don't like watching movies where people die. You know what I mean? And at the end of it, it's like you just in there love it, and all of a sudden they die. It's like,
spoiler alert.
It's not a new movie.
It's all right. We weren't watching.
People die. Like all those movies, Diana, The Faults and the Stars and Notebook and things like that. I mean, the movie's good. The movies are phenomenal. But then the person dies in the end. You're like, what? That's not good. Anyway.
But you can't be at two places at one time.
There you go. Mike?
Thank you all for tuning in today. We hope you guys are enjoying this series, Red Light, Green Light. If you guys would like, we have a daily encouragement text that goes out every single day that you guys can opt into. It is free. You can text the letters EZGC to 813-522-3356. To everybody that's in our live audience, thank you guys for always being with us on our live streams. But if for any odd reason you cannot make it to the live streams, you can always keep up with us in two different ways. Number one, go to YouTube, search Game Changer Podcast Live, go to our channel, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell, because you'll get notified every day once you hit that bell that we upload the episodes every single day at 3:30. If you guys prefer, we have the audio version of this podcast on every major podcasting platform out there. The biggest one that we are on, though, is Apple Podcasts, but whichever one you use, make sure that you subscribe to our feed. If you're listening to this episode or watching this episode on replay, you can always catch us live every single morning, Monday through Friday at 8:30 a.m. EST on Facebook and YouTube Live. Just search Game Changer Podcast Live and we will show up. Make sure that you go to follow us on Instagram. We post short, bite-sized clips of podcast episodes, phone wallpapers, shareable graphics, and quotes from the show, and more. I believe the handle, and I'll probably post it in both chats, is Game Changer. It's Game Changer Live Podcast on Instagram. So make sure that you guys follow us for all of that. Make sure that you check out our featured Bible plan, our newest Bible plan, which is Blueprint. It's a 5-day reading plan on YouVersion in the Bible app. It is the perfect thing to start your new year off as you guys are laying out what your year is going to look like. So make sure that you subscribe to it, read through it, and let us know what you think. But thank you all for tuning in today. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. And on that note,
We out.